Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining me. This is the Ed Franklin No Limits podcast, and I'm very excited. I hope you missed me last week. That means you're listening, but had a couple hiccups I'm going to talk about and tell you why I skipped a week of doing a podcast. But anyway, you can always contact me at edfranklin.nolimits@gmail.com if you'd like to be a guest, or you know somebody who would be a good guest. I'd be happy to entertain the idea. And I'm always looking for ideas for content. If you'd like me to talk about something specific, just let me know and I'd be happy to do that. So edfranklin.nolimits@gmail.com. I have had a couple suggestions that I'll mention in a few minutes. But first of all, before we get started, I want to wish the Marine Corps a happy birthday. 247 years. I have a lot of respect for the Marines. If it wasn't for them, we'd be in a whole different world that we live in now. And we are free in America, and I'm proud of them. And also, I'd like to recognize all the veterans out there. Tomorrow is Veterans Day. I'm glad we have a holiday for the veterans. They deserve it. And that kind of just goes along with the happy birthday to the Marines. And I like to include first responders in Veterans Day. I know it's not for first responders, but look, we count on them every day of the year, just like we count on our veterans to take care of us in our current military. So happy birthday, Marine Corps, and happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there. I know that you all have a lot of family and friends that are veterans, as well as I do. So a lot going on this week. I know that if you listened to my podcast recently, you knew that I was pretty frustrated about looking for work. And hallelujah, I found a very good job. I started not this Monday, but the Monday before. And that's one of the reasons I didn't do a podcast last week. I was a little busy kind of getting oriented into this new position. And, like everything in life, I wasn't necessarily losing hope, but I was starting to get really frustrated because I couldn't find anything that I liked and anything that I wanted to work anywhere I wanted to work. And frankly, a lot of the applying I was doing wasn't working out. I don't have a degree. I don't have some other things that people were looking for. And with this new way of hiring people through algorithms and things like that, I didn't necessarily have on my resume what I needed. But lo and behold, a company contacted me, and I'll talk more about that company later. In fact, I'm not even going to mention their name tonight, but I will tell you more about the company later. And it's and just I'm going to talk about the company right now, but just not going to mention their name. I'm going to mention kind of what's gone on in the last week and a half as I get oriented into this position. But it's a business development position or sales position, which is so right up my alley, and a little bit of a leadership position that could turn into more of a leadership position later. So had some bad news recently that I'm not going to bring up, and the reason I'm just going to bring up that I got some bad news and some news that could get better or worse is that I think I told you a story once about my trainer. We were working out one day, and he was complaining about, I think, his girlfriend and his living situation, and I kind of turned to him and said, "Look, I'm not paying you to listen to your problems." Now, as you know, my trainer was like one of my kids, but I was being honest with him. That hour that we spent together was about me. I was paying him to do that, and he's always done a great job and everything. He was just a little bit frustrated. He's a young man, and 30-ish, and I said to him, I said, Sean, you really need to learn how to compartmentalize these issues, because when you're with a trainer, now, when you say it to me, I'll just be honest with you and tell you, but if you're with another client that wasn't as upfront or didn't know you as well, they could get really frustrated with you talking about your personal life while you're training them. And I don't want to do that here. You have to compartmentalize things. And although sometimes I do talk on negative side, there's a purpose for that. But today we're going to talk about a lot of positives, a lot of good things and changes that are going on in my life. And I hope that what I'm talking about kind of resonates with you in your life and things that have happened, and how you can get over, these limitations. We've talked about that a lot, telling your story, all those things. So this job, interestingly enough, interesting. Oh no, well, I couldn't say that word. It's like I've been drinking. It's been interesting with this job, and this is why. the sales staff is all, I would say they're all except one person is under 30 years old. And we give our millennials or our young people a hard time these days about being lazy and not having knowledge about things. But I got to tell you, this group I'm working with, they're outstanding. Every one of them is really good at what they do, and they have a lot of knowledge about the process in which we're, the product we're selling, and they have a good knowledge of the product and service that we sell. And it's very refreshing. It's very nice to go into an office, me being almost twice their age, some of them more than twice their age, and them looking to me for some wisdom. I've been around a little bit, been doing sales for a long time. And then me looking at them for their enthusiasm and their knowledge of this product and service that we have. So it's been really cool. I've sat down with them all, just about all of them individually, and kind of gone over what I know and where I'm from, and kind of found out about them a little bit, about their families and about their knowledge and the business that they're doing. And I'm so impressed with these kids. And I don't mean that, saying kids as an insult. It's just that they're about the age of my kids. So let me back up a little bit. I was starting to, like I said, getting really frustrated looking for a job, and it's something, we always talk about. We see memes about not giving up and keep pressing and this and that. And I sent out hundreds of resumes, believe me. I don't know. I might even be in the thousands, but I sent out hundreds of resumes, different types of cover letters, different types of resumes, tried different algorithms, tried all these different things, and I wasn't getting anywhere. And I guess it goes to the fact that I didn't give up. I just kept persevering, right? And I had a couple different little offers that I didn't really want to take. I was still in a position where I could choose where I wanted to work. And when this came along, I actually interviewed twice on, I interviewed once on the phone and twice on FaceTime, of all things, on my phone. It was kind of interesting that I was doing an interview on FaceTime. But, I'm kind of over that, what's the right thing to say in an interview. I just want to be honest with people and tell them, I want them to know who they're getting, right? I don't want to tell them I have a master's degree in something, then go and then I have a master's degree. So I thought it was real important that I was real honest and upfront with them, and joked with them a little bit and kind of told them my feelings, and not knowing if they were going to respond, how they were going to respond to those feelings. But it worked out well. And talking to the owner, I think we have a real, we have a synergy there that we're going to be able to make, reach his goals. I'm going to be able to reach my goals. So far, it's been really super positive. There's a young gal that works there that's younger than actually all my daughters, and she's just very enthusiastic, very smart, very very knowledgeable about the product, because she was an assistant prior to being a salesman. So she knows all the ins and outs. Salesperson, apologize for that. But God, it's just so it's like so cool to be in a room with all these younger people. And they play off my energy, I play off their energy, and I really think we're going to be really successful in this company. It's been around about 20 years, and they've done a great job. We're just going to do a fantastic job. And I see the opportunity. They see the opportunity. There's a typical hiccups in a job that you wish wouldn't happen. But I really have since I've been in leadership positions and been in an area where I have to really watch profit. I understand the owner's decisions a lot of times. He makes a decision and not everybody likes it in the company. Maybe it's a financial decision that he's making, that the perception is that the people aren't benefiting from that. But because I have some knowledge with that and some experience, I understand the cost of doing business. And this is where salespeople a lot of times fall down and don't understand the cost of doing business. And you have to know that. When you're out there bidding jobs, you're setting prices, you have to know how much it costs to do the business. It can't just be based on how much you're going to make in commission, because oftentimes that's not what's best for the company or the customer or the anybody in the company. It's not always what's best for. So you have to make sure you understand that cost of doing business. I was going to do a whole thing on sales a while back, and although many of you aren't in sales, you might be interested in knowing that you actually are in sales. And the reason I say that is I was in a meeting once, and one of the business owners from the Chamber of Commerce said, "Look, I'm not a salesperson." And I said, "Well, you own your own company?" She says, "Yes, I do." I said, "And when you meet somebody, a new client, what do you tell them about your company?" "Well, I tell them this, and I tell them I have this experience marketing, credibility. I have this, I do this, I do that. And I said that, and I said, that's a sales pitch right there. See, oftentimes we look at salespeople as the 60s car salesman. They're trying to sell you something you don't need, sell you something you don't want. And there are people out there that try to do that. The best salesman in the world start a conversation with you, learn about your needs. And there's two reasons people buy things, right? You're either fixing a pain that they have, or you're gaining pleasure from that. So if you're buying a Starbucks coffee and it's just wicked good Starbucks coffee and you're buying it, it's because it makes you feel good. You like the taste, you like all these things. Conversely, you go to a doctor and they're saying, look, if we do this, you're going to feel better. And that's something you're getting rid of pain. I had a poster with The Rock on it that said there's two kinds of pain, the pain that hurts you and the pain that changes you. And these are things we all need to deal with in life. So when I say that you're all salespeople, every company out there, 95% of them at least or more, are in a sales business. They don't think that. They think, well, we make widgets. We do this and we do that. Well, you got to sell those widgets to somebody. And when an organization takes the thought or tact that we are a sales company in the widget business versus we're a widget company with the sales department, it changes the whole culture. It changes the whole thought process of how you're doing those things. So if you're a guy or a gal and you're looking for a mate, someone to partner to spend time with or whatever, and you're going to meet that person for the first time or whatever, you are selling yourself. You're telling them the good things about you. Hopefully you're telling them some bad things so they know you're honest. And people don't like to be labeled as salespeople, but if you're in business, you're in sales. And I don't think it's a bad thing. You have to kind of, look at sales as like I said, a way to solve people's problems, a way to help them get over a pain or add some pleasure to their life or something that's going to help benefit them. So I think that this company, and I mentioned that when I started with them, that they are a sales company in the business that we do. And like I said, I'll explain a lot more later. It's kind of a fascinating business to me, and it's so simple. It's almost so simple, it's harder to sell because people can't believe it's this simple. So I'm really excited. I love working with these kids. They're just, they ask me questions about, what I've done in the past and how I would handle a situation. And I love that. And I don't want them to think that I think I know everything. But I mean, I have been around a while and I've come up against situations that they may have not come up against. I think that they're sometimes a little bit naive, which goes to their age, and that's okay because they're willing to ask questions. They're willing to learn, and that's just fantastic. So far, I'm just having a great time. I know it's only been a couple of weeks, but I really can see the value in these salespeople and the rest of the workers, people that do the work, actual work. And I'm seeing really good benefit. The operations guy is a good guy. He knows he's got that sense of urgency. So no, I think this is going to be really fun. But I got a couple suggestions for podcasts of what subjects to do, and I was going to do a podcast, and I think I still will, on pet peeves, because I think stereotypes are one of the funniest things in the world because oftentimes they're true, and they're funny stereotypes. And I'll give you an example. People say, "Well, old people get old, they get cranky," and I am cranky. I do get cranky when I drive, when I do other things. You do, and it's like I said, it's a funny stereotype, but I'm living it, and it's very true. There's stereotypes at the gym that I go to and I see, and I laugh at those stereotypes because you'll see memes or TikTok videos about them, and they're true. So I think I'm going to do one on things that frustrate me, things that stereotypes that frustrate me that go on a regular basis, and just things that irritate me sometimes. And I swear, I think it's because I'm older that they irritate me more. I let it get to me more or something. But it's funny. Another suggestion I had, which was really interesting, was to do a podcast on divorce. Now, those of you that know me, those of you that don't know me, I've been divorced twice before I married my wife, and we're going to be married we're almost married 20 years. Been together 24 years. So I found my mate finally. I found that person that, we have that synergy together. We can cohabitate, and there's no issues, there's no problems. We don't get mad at each other. We don't go through that stuff. And I talked to the person about this divorce. I said, there's no reason for me to go on and talk about my divorce, but I think divorce in general would be a good topic to talk about. Unfortunately, half of you statistically are going to go through a divorce if you ever get married. And that's too bad. There's ways to avoid that, but I think sometimes we get a little anxious and we end up getting married thinking that we're either going to change that person that we're with or that things will change. All I can say at this point, and we'll, like I said, we may have a podcast about it, is that yeah, they may change, but I'll almost guarantee you in most cases things are going to change for the worse. I don't mean that. I would say that's a better way to say that is life's going to get more complicated. There's going to be things added in. You get married, you have children, that adds stress on you. You get jobs, you have, you know, gas is $6 a gallon. Of course, that would never happen, right? Just kidding. Here we paying $6 a gallon. So I think when you're when you're preparing to get married and you're speaking to that other person, your other half, your better half, hopefully, these are things you have to concern yourself with and get ready to get planned. But I think that would be a good podcast actually, and I'll definitely look into that. But back to these kids. It's funny. I mentioned, just said the phrase sense of urgency. I think a lot of young people don't have that sense of urgency. Don't think that they need to get stuff done right away. We'll just get it done when you can. And the counter to that is, I think a lot of people think that they have to get something done immediately to fix a problem, when actually if they just relax a little bit and kind of let it play itself out, you can kind of be patient. You can wait out that problem and it won't be a problem anymore. Now that sounds so contradictory, but it's true, and it depends on the situation of what you need to get done right away versus what you need to kind of wait out. And I guess that's just part of growing up. You kind of learn what situations need immediate attention versus a situation that could go a little bit longer. Funny, when I make a major purchase, a car, a motorcycle, something like that, I'm extremely patient. It takes me a long time to make up my mind on what I'm going to do with that purchase, or where I'm going to purchase it, or how much I'm going to spend, or whatever. And it drives Kit a little bit crazy because it takes me so long to buy something like that. But I do research, and it's really not even technical research. It's more research of in my mind, the picture that I have of what I want to own. So that's a case where, like I said, she doesn't get upset with me that I wait. She just thinks that I take a long time to research those things. But it's kind of my process, right? My stepdad used to say, before you make a purchase, wait 7 days. And I've used that a lot of times, and a lot of times in that 7 days later, I'm not interested in buying that thing anymore. It was more of an impulse buy in the beginning. So, and these are these things I've talked about with these kids. They're calling on some very major accounts out there, accounts that everybody wants their business. And, and they'll ask me recommendations. I'll give you an example. One of the kids did one of the salespeople, I'll stop calling them kids, did a presentation at a major place in San Diego, a big facility. And when we were done the next day, he asked me, he said, how did I do? And I said, well, do you want the truth? And he's like, yes. And I said, I think you did fantastic, because I really think he did. He was patient. He talked about fixing the issues that they had brought up to us to get fixed. He says, would you have done anything different? I said, I think the only thing I would have done different, there was one little piece of it I might have been a little bit more prepared. But at that point, I think it was only the third day I was there, I'm like, I had no clue. But as they were talking about it, I might have been a little bit better planned out. We got the job, by the way. The kid did a great job, salesman, sorry. And he's the one. I went to lunch with him today, and he's very open and to ask me questions. And I love it that they're asking me, what would you do in this situation? And believe me, I don't have all the answers. There's no way in heck I have all the answers. But I just feel really appreciated that they're even considering that I might know something they don't know. And that might not always be the truth. I mean, they have a lot of knowledge about the product that I don't have yet. So I went out with another one of the salesmen, and just loved his attitude. He's very upbeat, very happy. He laughs a lot, and I love that. I love that he's kind of loose, but he gets things done. He knows how to do it. Now, he's actually done the job that we're selling, so he has a lot of knowledge about how the product actually gets delivered, and that's invaluable. I mean, I shouldn't say never. Only a couple of times in my life have I sold a product that I actually worked with or worked on, I generally come in the aftermath and have to go see how the product works and things like that and get taught by the engineers or other salespeople on how that product works. So it's really valuable that this kid, God dang it, it's really valuable that this salesman has that hands-on knowledge of what we're selling because it really makes him more of an expert. There's a young lady there that works there that reminds me of one of my daughters. She could fit right in if you threw her into a family reunion. No one would even know she wasn't one of our kids. And she's just on fire. She's just got that burning desire to succeed. She's buttoned up. She's detailed. She works very hard, and I'm really appreciative of her tutelage as we're going through this. And I think not to brag, but I think it goes to my open-mindedness with kids. I don't think that, I know that they're not less intelligent than me. In fact, they're probably more intelligent than I am. They've learned in a very different time than I did, and they gathered a lot more information than we had, that we were privy to when we were kids. I'm just really excited about this position, and I'll tell you more about it. I'll probably do a couple commercials online for it, and yeah, I'm just really excited. I think the whole organization, it's a nationwide organization. In fact, I work for a franchise, but the organization as a whole is they communicate a lot, and I just think I'm excited. It's just going to be a good fit for me. And like I said, I just love working with these people. There's another person that works there, another guy that does, he's an assistant, but he does more CRM work. So CRM, if you don't know, is a customer relationship management program. And it's funny, when I was going through the process of getting a job, sorry, I have to take a drink. That comes up a lot. A lot of sales companies use CRMs now. They weren't popular when I was coming up with the system, but they're very popular now, and it's very difficult to get a salesman to use a CRM on a regular basis. A lot of detailed information you need to put in, a lot of notes, a lot of things like that. And there's really two reasons for the CRM. I mean, there's a million reasons for it, but there's really two main reasons as far as I'm concerned. One, it's to save leads, information, notes, and things like that for the owner of the company, so he can at a glance see what's going on with the salespeople. And two, it's a good resource for a salesperson to go back on and look and see what you did. It's a way to label customer as a hot customer, a cold, hot lead, cold lead, warm lead. Where'd you leave it? Was there any problems? Did someone retire? It's all this information, as addresses, phone numbers, fax, emails, all those things. And when I would talk to potential employers, they'd say, do you have CRM experience? And I said, I do. And they said, well, which ones? And I would tell them, and they'd say, what's the hardest part about a CRM? I said, getting a salesperson to use it. That's the hardest part about a CRM, because salespeople don't like sitting down and putting stuff into a computer. They would rather be out selling, which makes sense. But this information coming back to them, it's like a memory. It's like their brain. It's going to be very valuable to them. So as I got aboard and I started looking through their CRM, there were a lot of holes in their CRM, a lot of places, and they knew that too. It wasn't that I found it or discovered it, but as I went through the CRM and kind of looked at things, they all kind of run the same. So I was able to find out some things that this thing does, some tools that it has that these guys didn't know that it existed. And I've had a podcast on fundamentals before too, and fundamentally, getting that CRM buttoned up and getting all the information in it, super important for the future. And they're going to see all the benefits you're getting out of it. So I've been encouraging these guys, the salespeople, to, get the fundamental parts of the CRM done, because it's going to be very valuable in the future. So they're doing it, and I helped kind of move that along a little bit this week. And I think the owner will appreciate that. And I know the salespeople will appreciate that as we move forward. And this, for you that aren't salespeople, this has got to be the most boring podcast you've heard. But don't hang up yet. Don't get off. Don't stop listening. Because really, all these things I'm talking about in this company, these fundamentals, is stuff I've talked about in the past. I can't stop harping on you about how important it is to take care of yourself. Consider yourself being the CRM, and you have to have information and health and all these things, something you need to do before you can take care of yourself or your children or your spouse or your friends or your mom or your dad or your brothers and sisters. You have to be operating at a high level, and you being the CRM, you have to be putting the right things in your body, getting exercise you need, um, telling yourself that story, that good news story that you have. When you have a hiccup in life, when you have a tragedy, when you have all these other things, you'll be better at handling these things and be able to compartmentalize those things while you're raising your kids or taking care of anybody else. I know there's those days, you come home from work and you're just had a bad day. The traffic's bad. Somebody hit your car in the parking lot, and you come home and the first thing you do is you got two kids coming up to you, pulling on your shirt, asking you to do things, and sometimes you just want to scream, right? You just want to lash out at them. But if you learn how to compartmentalize those issues, then when you come home, you can put those issues in a box in your brain, take care of your kids, wife, spouse, brother, sisters, mom, dad, whatever, just take care of them, and then revisit that other issue when you have time. The reality is, if you come home after a long day at work and it's a bad day and you get hit and the traffic's bad and your kids there's nothing you can do about that anyway. It's in the past, right? You're going to have to deal with the aftermath later, but you can't fix it right then. So why take it out on your kids or spouse or whoever those people you're nurturing? And as you get up in the morning and you get yourself together and look in that mirror and say, you're going to do this today, smile at yourself, tell yourself how good looking you are, make sure you keep, acknowledging the talents that you've learned and the skills that you have, and then go out and take on that day, you're going to be so much better off. You're going to be so much further forward than if you get up, bad mood, drag yourself out of the house. If it takes going to bed 2 hours earlier, then go to bed 2 hours earlier. Whatever it takes for you to be successful, you need to do that. And success is not just making money. It's not just doing a good job at work. It's having those great relationships with your partner. It's having, being that leader for your children and being that leader at work, things like that. You've got to show up with the right frame of mind, and you are responsible for that right frame of mind, right? So you're the one that has to get up in the morning, get yourself in that right frame of mind. Look, I'll tell you something that's funny. I don't like cold weather. I'm wearing a jacket inside the house right now because I am a true Californian. It hits 65, I'm freezing. And I had a point to that, and I don't know why, but anyway, you gotta get comfortable. You gotta get, I know what I was going to say. When the weather turns like it is now, sorry, get confused. Long day at work. Just kidding. When the weather turns like this, I'm not as happy as I am when the sun's out. I'm just telling you, when it affects my mood. When the time just changed, not a big fan of when the time changes. I don't like it getting darker earlier. If I want to go barbecue right now, it's pitch black outside and it's 5:11 at night. And I would still do it, but I'm out there freezing. I'm in shoes and socks, and I have long pants on. You guys know I'm a shorts guy. I like wearing shorts. I'm not a flip flop guy, but shorts and a t-shirt, and that's how I like to operate during the day. When I have to go outside with a jacket on, it just drives me nuts. So it's not my favorite time of the year. The holidays are my favorite time of the year, but this cold weather is not my favorite time of the year. If you could move Christmas to June, I'd be really happy about that. So work on that for me. So anyway, I'll keep going back to this, and you people out there that need training in sales or training in whatever you do for a living, you cannot operate at a high level or learn those tasks, learn those skills, or learn anything until you operate at a high level on yourself. And you need to be selfish about this. It's something you need to do and to take care of yourself before you can do a good job of other things. There's nothing worse than having somebody at work, and this isn't a cut to that person. It's just got a lot on their mind, and you're trying to kind of get them moving. You're trying to get them organized and trying to help them be successful. It's very difficult to have a lot of things weighing on your mind and your shoulders when you're trying to perform at a high level. And, a boss doesn't know that. Your coworkers might not know that if you're, holding on to those things. But that's why you need to compartmentalize that. When you're at work, you're at work. I always tell customers when I'm with them, someone will call me and I won't answer the phone. The person will say, guy or girl will say, you can get that. And I said, I can't. And I'll tell you why I won't. I'll never answer the phone when I'm with a customer because you're my only customer right now. If I had 300 customers and I'm talking to you, you're my only customer at this minute. And I'll never answer the phone when I'm with a customer. I will get a voicemail and call those people back right when I'm done. But I never do that. It's rude. It's not right. And I don't care if the customer is a $10 customer or $1 million customer. I will not answer the phone. I will wait until I'm done with the person I'm talking to. It's respectful. It's the right thing to do. And it makes people feel good, by the way. When they do say, you can answer that phone. And I said, no, I'm good. A lot of times, to be honest with you, I leave my phone in the car when I go in to see a customer because I don't want to be distracted. I want to focus on them and get them what I wanted to do. Now, think about that. I remember my daughter sent me a picture one time, the one in New Orleans, and she had a basket in the middle of a table. And they all went out to dinner, and all the people at the dinner, there was like, I don't know, 14 people, had to put their phones in that basket so they wouldn't be distracted, so they could enjoy each other, so they could talk and ask questions and people would hear them. Nothing worse when I'm up talking in front of people. I got a group of people I'm talking about being selfish and taking care of themselves, and I look back and they're texting. They're not listening to me. Now, does it bother me? Yeah, it pisses me off. It does irritate me when they do that. But more importantly, it takes their focus off of what I'm trying to talk about. And usually what I'm trying to talk about is them being better people, being better versions of themselves. So I hate to see that when people are distracted. And I read an article the other day that basically said that people really can't multitask. It's really, and this goes back to the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, teens. Mentally, you really can't multitask. You need to stay focused on one thing, and it's very difficult. And we did a podcast on focus and how hard it is to stay focused sometimes. It's that thing where you have to compartmentalize what you're thinking about. You have to focus on one thing at a time to be really good at that one thing. I know people disagree with me on this, and I don't care because you know me, right? I don't care. But it's really true. You need to be able to focus on that customer, that relationship. I think Kit and I oftentimes will text each other sitting on the couch, which is just the funniest thing in the world. We won't talk, but we're watching, TikTok videos or something. But the thing is, we know we're doing that together. We're not necessarily having a discussion and doing that at the same time. That is our discussion, that we're having fun with each other. So important, especially with kids. Too many times I was having something on my mind and I was trying to work on something, and my son were trying to talk to me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just saying, yeah, like I'm listening. I'm really not listening, and that's sad. That's sad that I didn't look at them and focus on them and kind of say, so what's up? Let's talk about this, and just do whatever I'm doing later. So important in life, whether you're at work or in a relationship or whatever you're doing. So I'm glad you guys are listening. I really need some guests. I'd really like to have some interesting guests on. They're going to have to do the Zoom at night or on the weekends, and that's usually good for most people because they work during the day. If there's a topic you really want me to talk about, and I'll research the topic if need be. My email is edfranklin.nolimits@gmail.com. If you have a guest or you'd like to be a guest, or you have a guest that would be a good person on my podcast, contact me at edfranklin.nolimits@gmail.com. We're getting close to the holidays. Thanksgiving is actually 2 weeks from today. We got Christmas coming up. It's a stressful time. The economy's hurting a little bit right now on us. The weather's turned cold in San Diego. We had some rain this week. That rainy day, I don't like rainy days. Carson loves rain. I'm not a big fan of rain. But I just want you all I want you to focus on yourself. And this is a good time. The last 2 months of the year, it's a good time to see customers because they're a little bit more relaxed, but it's also a good time for you. Don't wait till January 1st to change your life. Change it tomorrow. Little goals, right? We'll string those holy moments together. I'd really like to see everybody, and me included. I'm on the hook too. I always tell you, I'm not looking down on you saying, this is what I did, this is what you should do. I'm right there with you. I'm involved in the struggle too. So this is what I want to do. I want to start tomorrow just trying to be a better version of myself, just starting to get back to the gym. I'm finally getting back to the gym. We're going tomorrow afternoon. Eating right, getting that diet straightened out, getting my mind a little bit more meditation. Even if I'm driving, just trying to focus on one or two things, listening to CDs, reading books, whatever you can do to gain some knowledge. But look, let's go into the new year, into 2023. I can't believe I'm even saying that 2023. Not with a goal to start January 1st, but with our goal started already with some momentum going into that year. I think that, and everybody will say at the beginning of the year, this is going to be a good year. Yeah, is it? Are you going to make it a good year? Because that's really what it takes for you to decide you're going to have a good year. I don't care what politicians do. I don't care what people outside are doing. I don't care what this company or that company or Elon Musk or whoever's on Twitter. I don't really care. I want you to look in the mirror tomorrow morning, decide that you're going to make some changes and make the changes. Just make them one little bit at a time. I really, when I started this podcast, which is almost 2 years now, was just putting your arms around people and telling them it's going to be okay. Well, I'm giving you a goal. I'm giving you a challenge. I want you to put your arms around yourself and say it's going to be okay. I want you to, if you have issues, address the issues. If you have an addiction, address the addiction, get help, read a book, do something. If you're a little bit overweight and you want to lose those, if it's bothering you, I mean, if it doesn't bother you, I wouldn't worry about it. But if it's a health issue or it's something that bothers you and maybe it's limiting you from getting in that bikini next year or, you know, um, public speaking or whatever it is, let's start now. Let's start before the holidays. So you're going to eat a little bit at Thanksgiving. No big deal. You're going to eat a little bit at Christmas. No, you don't have to make it 8 weeks of that. You can have those enjoyable times. Listen, the worst thing for me is Thanksgiving is not that bad for me. I love the candy that comes out in at Christmas, and I just have to back off of them. I'm having a little sugar issue. If I eat too much sugar, sometimes I get this inflammation. I don't know. You don't want to hear that much information, but I need to watch my sugar intake. But I'm having some of that candy. I'm just telling you, it comes out at Christmas. It's my candy, man. So anyway, listen, I love all you guys. I'm going to do a podcast next week. I'm not sure what the topic is going to be. And I actually may do a podcast we'll be in New Orleans for the week of Thanksgiving, and I may do a podcast there with my daughter. So look for that and keep listening, keep sharing, keep subscribing to YouTube if you go there. And for new listeners, I do this, try to get out a podcast every week. I try to make it always positive, but life is not always positive. Sometimes we got to address some negative issues that are going on. But listen, I love you guys. All I want for you is what's best. I just want what's best for your family. If I don't know you, if we don't get along, I still want what's best for you. So I want to say, if I don't get a chance, I mean, I will get a chance, but if you don't listen to another podcast, happy holidays to you. Have a great Thanksgiving. Happy birthday to the Marines. Happy Veterans Day. If you're a veteran, I have 100% respect for you. I did not I did not do any military service, and it's one of the regrets of my life. So thank you for your service. First responders also, happy birthday, Marines. Have a great weekend. Hopefully you have a 3-day weekend. If not, just enjoy your time. And I love you guys. Talk to you later.